parking lot of the polling station. Now walk the audience through what happened.
I went out to go for a walk on my break, and I probably had a 150, 175 foot stretch where I was walking. The Biden van was parked along this stretch, and I was walking to it, so about 150 feet I was walking, and I could see these people hand over what appeared to be white envelopes, just hand over onto this table. And as I got closer, the envelopes were being torn open. There were two people dropping the envelopes, and two people ripping them open and turning and facing the van and drawing on them or marking them. And as I got closer, as I was walking, they would put things down and pick more paper up and mark on the van, and then put it down and pick some more up. And as I got closer, I thought, those are ballots. And I didn't, I was in my polling uniform, basically. And as I walked by, I looked and I thought, those are ballots. And it kind of was an odd, like, what are they doing? There were 4 total people, but only 2 were marking and opening the envelopes and the paper. And it took about a 6-minute walk to walk this parking lot, and I did it. I just walked my entire lunch hour. And so I came around the second time, and they're still opening and marking the ballots.
But you didn't say anything? You didn't say anything when you first saw it? I mean, how close were you to be able to see a ballot?
Well, as I was walking towards them, I was, like you're coming down a sidewalk on a block, and say the van was maybe a block and a half away. So I'm walking up to the van. When I get to them, I kind of give them a wide berth because they're all standing there, and we were told not to interact with anybody out there. And we were told that if we interact, we could get in trouble, and not to talk to them, not to take pictures, not to do anything. So,
but did they react to you? But my question is, did they? So you're walking up to them. You can see that they seem to be filling in ballots.
Right, but their backs are to me. As I'm walking by them, I'm walking, and they're facing the van because they're using the van as a hard surface to mark the ballots. So they're not looking at me walking. I'm walking by them, and I just walk past them. I don't turn around. I just walk by, and I kind of make a mental note like, well, that's odd. And I keep walking. So I walked by the van twice, seeing them open and doing this, marking them on the van.
On a table, or just on the side of the van? I'm trying to visualize this. On the side of the van, or?
It's not a little van. It's more like an airport shuttle. It's a bigger vehicle. It's not as big as a bus, but it's not like just a eight-passenger van.
I got it. So are they writing on their hand? Or is there on the van?
They've got the paper up. They're holding the paper with one hand, and with their marker, they're marking. They're going down marking the ballot.
And you didn't
put it down, and it
you didn't say anything, right? But you didn't say anything when you first noticed this.
Well, when I first walked by, no, and I walked by a second time, and I'm thinking, did I just see what I'm seeing? It's kind of like a little.
And what did you do then? You walk by again, and they're still doing it.
I walked by 4 or 5 times. On the next time that I walked by, they're putting them in the envelopes. They're putting them in a white and pink envelope. And like I said, I'm not walking by the van like walking around the van. I'm coming on a parking lot, a big, rectangular parking lot. So they're at one end, about 150 feet from the door of the polling place, and that would be diagonally. I'm walking more like a square. So as I come around the corner and I see them putting these pieces of paper back in what appears to be a pink and white envelope. So I make a mental note, and this time when I walk by, 5 and 6 people come and form like their backs to me, but now I can't see what they're doing. And as I walk by, one of them looks at me, and the whole line moves as I walk by them. And it scared me. It was
to form a wall, to form a wall, just so people understand, to form a wall, so you believe, so you couldn't
shoulder
see.
To shoulder, right, so if you're standing shoulders to 5 people standing shoulders to shoulder facing the 4 people that are on the inside. So I couldn't see what they were doing now because they were walking, and as I walked by them, the wall moved.
Unbelievable. A human wall to block her view, or at least they tried to block her view. There's more from that interview that we're going to share with you a little later on. Here with the reaction of what you just heard is Sidney Powell, one of the attorneys representing President Trump in his election legal battles, the co-author of the book, Conviction Machine. Sydney, apart from whistleblower testimony like our last guest, you say we need a complete audit of election computer systems. We'll get to that in a moment. React first to what you just heard from that whistleblower.
Well, it makes perfect sense. It aligns with other stories we've heard from other voting locations where people have done everything from take piles of ballots and fill them out all the same way to bringing in pallets of or boxes of ballots and dumping them in. It's really been stunning, Laura, to read all the affidavits that we're getting in, and information's coming in almost faster than we can process it. But we're seeing all manner and means of fraud. I'm particularly concerned about the computer implications and the fact that we have no ability to trust our computer systems that register the votes.
Yeah, can you explain that for us? So people have read bits and pieces of one voting system and votes being switched, but then we were told they were switched back and no worries. But specifically on this issue, why are we so vulnerable?
Yes, well, a lot of the machines, particularly by the Dominion Company, in which Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi hold interests, along with Mr. Soros has a connection to that as well. They actually have a Chinese software or parts in them. And of course, given Mr. Biden's links to China, it's not too far of a stretch to think that China might have had something to do with some of the, quote, glitches, end quote, that have repeatedly resulted in vote changes in election results.
I think Sydney is a really top lawyer, so I don't have to tell you this, but the AP, which isn't the AP of 25 years ago, but the AP fact-checked those family connection claims and said basically that's just more Republican smoke and mirrors. It doesn't add up.
Well, we'll continue to investigate, and if it's wrong, I will correct that. But I don't have any reason to think that right now. What I do know is that votes were flipped.
Sorry,
you can see it in the algorithms.
Yeah, we have a bit of a delay. Sorry, Sydney. I don't know what's going on here with the delay, but I think most people think about these the computerized systems and think, oh, it's so much more accurate than hand counting because we're seeing all these ballots counted by hand and there are problems with those. So there has to be a bipartisan examination of everything that went wrong in this election, from the tampering allegations to the dead people voting to the machines, and that just has to be done because right now we have tens of millions of Americans who think this wasn't a free and fair election, and it's not good for Biden, it's not good for Harris, not good for the country, not good for President Trump, obviously.
No, these are the two most important months of our republic. This is when the rubber meets the road as to whether we remain a free country in which we can trust our methods of self-governance. And right now we can't, and 70-some million people know that. We have demonstrable statistical and mathematical and computer evidence of hundreds of thousands of votes being injected into the computer systems repeatedly that simply don't pass muster. And the experts who understand how these programs and everything work know that. It's provable, and we will be proving it along with other methods of fraud that they used.
Well, Sydney, you certainly know a little bit about what the other side is